This is episode 106 of the Beyond the Food Show, and today it's a quickie, and we're going to talk about self-sabotage. My name is Stephanie Dozier. I'm a clinical nutritionist, and at 35, I was strapped with severe anxiety, panic attack, obesity, and my health completely collapsed. I needed solution, and the journey began. Each episode of the Beyond the Food Show, we bring you an expert or a message to help you achieve your health goal, unlock your self-confidence, and live a better life. Let's dive into self-sabotage. Now, this entire podcast has been inspired from a post that I did on Instagram. If you're not following me yet, I invite you to go on Instagram. It's Steph Dozier, and follow me, because when I have haha moment, and for those who've been following me for a while, you know what it means. And for those who don't, haha moment is when you get that Yoda moment, that moment of clarity, of awareness, where you know something is just right. Well, when I have some of those moments, I share on Instagram. So it's totally not curated. It's like right in the moment inspiration. And self-sabotage, to be honest, was a huge topic over the last week. So today is November the 21st, and I'm actually recording this podcast from a bed and breakfast in Alcuida, Spain. And I know I'm not pronouncing this right. As I was saying the word, I'm like, oh my God, I'm bastardizing Alcuida. It's a city. It's actually the oldest city on the island of Mallorca, Spain. I've been here for over 10 days now, because I was speaking at a conference called Low Carb Universe, which is like a mega retreat about health eating, health, low carb lifestyle, mindset. And that was the first time I actually came to one of those conferences, and they allowed me to totally speak about my jam, which is mindset and craving and emotion. So it was a holistic conference on low carb lifestyle. And I did actually a workshop with a friend of mine, Sean Miner, from the Keto for Women show. And we did a workshop on mind, body, weight loss, which was life transforming for the people attending. And that same day, I also did a talk on mastering your food craving and the importance of emotion in that. And again, I've had nothing but people coming to me one-on-one after the conference telling me in secret, wow, you've changed my life. I never thought about my emotion in that way. It's like a taboo subject when I talk about emotion and the role in our relationship to food and our health in the healthy community that we talk about, paleo or keto or low carb or vegan. It's a topic that is taboo, and I don't know why. Probably because it's considered to be woo-woo, so people don't want to talk about that, where in fact, it is the basis of being a human being. So when you do talk about it, when the organizer or the owner of those conferences finally get the guts to talk about that, just like Anna had, the organizer of Low Carb Universe, and Birgit, it changes people's life. It's fundamental. And the topic of self-sabotage came out of the feedback that people were giving me on my talk, but also on the workshop that me and Sean did. And people have admitted to us before we started the conference that they were self-sabotaging for years now, for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, and they just couldn't understand why. And I'm sure you're very familiar with that. I know for me, it's been, well, I want to say of awareness, it's probably been the last 5 years that I know about the concept of self-sabotage. Before that, for me, the last 20, 25 years prior to that, I just thought I was broken. I thought something was wrong with me and I was alone like this in the world. And I couldn't understand, and I just kept beating myself. So if you're out there and you are, quote unquote, self-sabotaging, let it be aware that you're not alone. There's many of us in that position. And for those who may not understand the concept of self-sabotaging, here's a brief description from my friend Google that I just searched before starting to record this podcast here. So the definition of self-sabotaging is a behavior that create or interfere with long-standing goal. A behavior that creates and interfere with long-standing goal. That's what self-sabotaging is. Like everything goes well, and all of a sudden you make a choice, you have a behavior that's completely against what you're trying to achieve, but you still do it. That's what self-sabotage is. Now that you know what it is and you are aware of the concept of self-sabotage, the next question is, what the heck do I do with that, Stephanie? Well, my number one step you need to take, and you know this for those who have worked with me or done any of my program, is to take responsibility. Now that you understand the concept of self-sabotaging and you are aware that you are doing it, it's not anyone else's fault but yours. Take responsibility and then do something about it. No more complaining, just take action. And if your goal is anywhere around health, binging eating, overeating, or weight loss, well, let me say this to you. There is not a different food rule, a different food plan, a different food program that will prevent you from self-sabotaging. You are simply, if that's where you're looking for a solution, not looking in the right place. What you need to do is to learn another life skill set that will help you with your thoughts, with your mind, with your emotion, so you can stop self-sabotaging and achieving your goal. Now, if you're not ready to plunge into the world of personal development and life skill set learning, that's okay. I'm here. I will continue my work. When you're ready, you come to me. But I know for a fact, if you're self-sabotaging today and you're looking for the answer in the next diet, food rule, macro, food plan, 30-day program, the answer will never be found for you. You need to learn life skill set. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go through 5 behavior that leads directly to self-sabotage. And I will wrap this up at the end with solution of how we can go about improving those behavior in our life so ultimately we can prevent self-sabotaging. The number 1 behavior is perfection. The all or nothing attitude that prevents you from taking action, waiting for the right time, waiting for the perfect environment or the situation. Which leads me to the behavior number 2, which is direct correlation to perfection, is procrastination. Procrastination is self-sabotaging. When you procrastinate and wait to do something because it's just not perfect enough, and it's not the right timing, or it's not the right season, or it's not the right blah, 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 that's procrastination. The third behavior, which is like a bow on top of all of this, is not feeling good enough to just jump in and do something, take action, make a choice, because we're just not worth it. We don't feel good enough, so we need to punish ourselves through self-sabotaging behavior. Does that make sense? The 5th one, and in that I hear a lot. I'm not going to do it because it's just not going to work, because it hasn't worked before. Why would it work right now? Expecting the worst. Because you feel that you're not good enough, you automatically go to the place where you're not going to be successful. You actually are preparing yourself for failure. You are preventing having the pain of failure. So you are expecting the worst. So you don't feel not good enough. So you procrastinate because you just want it to be perfect. Does that make sense? The last one that leads directly to self-sabotage is blaming our responsibility for not taking action. Here's how this can sound. Well, I just don't have the time to fill in the blank every day. Because, I have kids and I work and I got to clean the house and I got to cook healthy food. So I just don't have 15 minutes to myself every day. So I cannot fill in the blank. How does that sound? Familiar? I know for me, the whole time I worked in the corporate world, that was my number one excuse. I just don't have the time. I'm too important, have too much responsibility. I just can't do anything for myself. Now I'll have one more because I'm on a roll here. And because I think this one is linked to blaming our responsibility, is blaming the toxic people in our life. Would sound like this. Well, my husband just doesn't want me to spend any more money on a program, so I'm just not going to buy the program, the book, or whatever it is, so I can improve myself and become a better person because he just doesn't think I'm going to be successful, so he doesn't want me to spend money. I had this one just last week, actually, in a Facebook Messenger from one of the lady who wanted to sign up for the Beyond the Food Academy, and she was actually putting the responsibility on her husband. And clearly her husband did not trust her, did not have confidence, and her husband was a toxic individual in her life, not believing in her, making her not take action and not actually jump in to make her life better. So if you are surrounded by toxic individual in your life, that could be a reason why you're self-sabotaging, because you're constantly being sent off the message that you're not good enough, that you just don't do anything right, so might as well do nothing. So if that sounds familiar, if those are some 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those behavior that you're currently having to your life, stop, ladies, working on the symptoms. Stop putting a Band-Aid by trying to applying more control to your food, but instead work on those behavior. Work on accepting that perfection is not something that we need to achieve. We don't need to be perfect. We need to have compassion towards ourselves. So work on finding compassion for yourself. In the same way as you give to people into your life, you need to find compassion for yourself. The same thing with procrastination, like just be done with it and just start. Now, how do we learn to do those things? The number one step you can take to stop trying to achieve for perfection, to stop procrastination, to stop that feeling of not good enough or expecting the worst all the time or blaming your responsibility or the toxic people into your life, is working on yourself. Personal development is where the solution is at. It is not in the development of another diet or another set of rules for your food, but instead is getting to know yourself better with exercise such as journaling. You see me being a big advocate for that because it did change my life, and it changed the life of all the people that I work with who actually do it, because it's an exercise of self-discovery. Meditation, visualization, body scan, movement that is associated with breath and self-awareness, walk in nature, so you can get to know yourself better, so you can start developing a relationship with yourself. That's where the solution lies in preventing self-sabotage. Now, I know this is more, or it seems more, would I rather say, complicated than it really is. So right now you're probably sitting in your car listening to me. It's like, oh my God, like this is complicated. I've never done that. I'll never be able to do that. Don't know where to even start. That's okay. Because personal development skills, tools, are not being taught in most places. This is something that we brush over, that we toss on the side because we believe that it's not important. So again, don't feel alone. Be compassionate towards yourself. Totally okay. You can pick up books such as The Anatomy of the Spirit. You can listen to my prior podcast that teaches you skill to learn to know yourself better, work on becoming a better, bigger person. Now, there is a short, I was talking about earlier, the Beyond the Food Academy. This is a program that I'm currently testing with my private community. If you're part of the private community, go through the feed. You will see a few videos, a few posts of me talking about the Beyond the Food Academy. If you're not part of my private community on Facebook, you can go to the show note right now and become a member of the community. So you can go to stephaniedodier.com/106 and you'll access the show notes. And then the link there will be present for you to join the community. Go through the feed and see what the Beyond the Food Academy is, but that's what it is. It's a personal development program. And in there will be a course on self-sabotage, because that is the number one reason why people even consider the concept of going beyond the food, because they know they're self-sabotaging and they've realized that it's not with another food rules or another supplement that the self-sabotage behavior will end, but it's actually with working on themselves and working on getting to know themselves better and understanding why they're having that behavior. So go check it out. It's called Beyond the Food Academy, which is the next step to the Going to Beyond the Food project, the online conference that we did. So I listened to the feedback and the comment of people who attended the project and what they needed the most help with. And the number one topic that came up was self-sabotage. So I hope this episode is going to be something that it will help you at least be aware of your own self-sabotage behavior. And if it is helping you, please leave me a comment on Facebook or Instagram or a review in iTunes. That's my fuel. That's when I know I'm doing something right for you. If you think this episode may help somebody else in your life, please share it right from your device or again on social media or via email by sharing the show note at stephaniedodier.com/106. And that will help me get the message out to the world. So I'm grateful that you were here with me today. I like you, I love you, and I'm grateful that you are in my life. And I'll see you on the next episode.